Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. I've been wanting to return to some grunge, and in particular, I've been wanting to dive deeper into Alice in Chains' haunting vocals. So we went back and combed through your comments and found that a ton of you have recommended Love, Hate, Love. Thank you so much for your suggestions. That's what we're going to do, so let's get to it.
This next song is about pain. It's called Love, Hate, Love.
I have to check something. Yeah. I was thinking that sounded like we were working through a tritone there, and that's exactly what's happening. It sounds so dissonant. When I talk about a tritone, it's an augmented fifth diminished, or augmented fourth or diminished fifth. This is an interval that is considered like the most dissonant interval. It often is associated with the devil or just really scary moments in a horror film. So it's working actually through a triad, and the last one is the tritone itself, and then there's a minor third in the middle as well. It's extremely, extremely dissonant. Diminished chord is another way to put that. It's amazing to me how they're just driving it home. They keep going over that same harmony. It is very, very tense harmonically and definitely seeking resolution. Also, that one line from Layne Staley sounded very much like Jeff Buckley to me. I was surprised. I'm going to go back to the beginning.
This next song is about pain.
Yeah, it sounds painful.
It's called Love, Hate, Love.
Very dissonant. It's really lovely vibrato control. This singing has some good support behind it. I know that grunge typically is thought of as essentially anti-vocal technique, and there's some things that I think a lot of grunge singers do specifically to break what's considered a good sound, but that doesn't mean that it's being produced in a bad way. It's just aimed to have a more grungy, realistic kind of feel to it. His vibrato control is really good. I'm noting it many, many, many times. And I'm also mesmerized by some of his vowel choices, consonants actually seeping into the vowels We'll get to that. It's very, very interesting. But then in addition, there's just a connection. It's just got good support. I can tell that he's taking a good breath and singing on it. So I'm going to go back to where he first starts singing, I guess, the first verse? Is this?
I tried to love you.
So one of the things that's interesting is he keeps having these offsets that are very, very prominent in the sound. So instead of I tried to love you without any sound, it's I tried to love you. It's like a shadow vowel offset. He adds an additional vocalized sound at the end of his phrase.
I tried to love you. I thought I could.
My classical ears actually cringe at that moment. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's not a pure vowel. And again, I'm the one that wants to dive back into this and dive deeper into it because I think it's fascinating. I think that there is a golden sound that the grunge era has, and I'm interested in understanding more and more how they've created it. I think that sometimes they've created it by adding more R into their vowels. So you have these things called R-colored vowels. It's where you take an R consonant and add it to a vowel sound. So instead of could, right, they've added R into the sound. So curd, like lemon curd. I don't know why that was chosen. I definitely have heard more R in the sound of several different grunge singers, but it might just be that the mouth is more closed, but he doesn't do it as much with wood.
I thought I could.
Right? It's so obvious and deliberate.
I thought I could.
Heard.
I tried to own you. I thought I would. I wanna kill her.
There's a little R color again, the instead of the. Goes to a slight R-ish sound. Fascinating. Did I mention he's got a really good connection? That's why it has this sort of seeping feeling. It feels like you're drawing taffy from below his diaphragm in the way that the voice is just hooked up.
I wanna kill her. Skin from your face before the real you.
There's that offset again. Wow. That was really good breath control. I love the way this song is such a slow tempo. It feels like it's sludging along. I also feel like it's seething. Lots of good S words. It's intense at the same time as being slow. I think it can be difficult to sustain that kind of intensity, especially vocally. That's something that operatic training particularly helps with, sustaining intensity for a long time. And I don't think he would be able to sustain this kind of vocal intensity without really good hookup into support. I feel very impressed as he's going along by how well he's doing that. I'm going to go back some talk about a few more details in this. The lyrics are fascinating. I understood, reading over some stuff ahead of time, I understand that he wrote this about Demri and their very turbulent relationship and the desire to stay true to one another, but he just really struggled with that. And I think that the lyrics that go with that thought are incredible. I tried to love you. I thought I could. I tried to own you. I thought I would. And it almost feels a little creepy, which really goes again with that diminished chord and the augmented fourth that's in there. Or I want to peel the skin from your face, right? That feels like it's approaching creepy, but it's actually about how frustrating it is and how much he wants to be true, but just can't find it in him and she as well. Wow, there's so many mixed, intense feelings in this. I like the way that they've musically expressed that as well. Oh, it's a lot further back, sorry. That distortion that he adds on top makes you have these feelings of being totally wrecked, totally distraught. I think it's so well done. And I also think it's done in a healthy way. It sounds to me like that distortion is not coming from the true vocal folds, but from a different part of the anatomy, which creates that sort of raspiness in the sound. I'm going to go back. It's so interesting. I hear a lot of soft palate drop here, a lot of nasality in the sound. I think this is partly because he's just keeping his mouth a little more closed when most people would be opening up more at that stage. Again, that's part of the grunge sound and style. There's nothing wrong. It is a preference for a style here. And additionally, though, he goes just a teensy bit flat there. And I think that's a really good way for us to know that this hasn't been auto-tuned or melodined. It feels extra painful at that moment. That pitch, just a little under. This feels so raw. This is amazing. I love the way he held that straight as well without vibrato and then slid down and add some vibrato. Oh, it was very, very good on many different technical levels. The sustained power is awesome. I haven't heard him sing like this before. It's really delightful. So just shout out to everybody that recommended this. Thank you very much. I'm already thoroughly enjoying it. We can keep going. Wow. I wonder if the R coloration made it into that first verse, partly because we're rhyming with R's at the end of each line in the second verse here. He might have been sort of calling forward to that. But again, whoa, intense lyrics. Really intense. I'm going to go back just a little bit again. I love the way he throws that, just says it. Okay, listen to the end of more. He even gives a little H to accent that offset. Man, the way that he is tasting the words in his mouth, it feels, it reminds me of singing opera, where you really are looking to experience each part of the word that you're expressing and elongating. You also deliberately choose how long you want certain consonants and certain vowels to be. He's really making his way through the enunciation and lingering on all different aspects of it. And then it's fascinating to me, though, that instead of choosing to open these things up and perhaps have more mouth space to propagate the sound through, the choice is instead to have a more closed space overall. And it feels like it's the consonants and vowels are almost chewy in the way he's letting them marinate right in here extra. It's just a fascinating choice of style. There's some really good opening. My bad. There's a lot more opening here than we've seen him do so far. I'm going to go back a little more so we can see the chewy. Little girl, see, not very open. Wow. Oh my gosh, I still love you, but I still burn. Whoa. That's cool. Good lyrics. It's amazing how he does this really slow slide from underneath the pitch into a pitch sometimes. I heard this in the last chorus as well on the word sweet. There was one other spot. But he did it here. It's like spine tingling. Think further back. That distortion's insane. Oh, it's further back, sorry. I'm going to go back a little more. Oh my God. There it is. That starts really far below the pitch and then slides up into it, really leaning into the sound. Whoa. It's almost like a guitar pitch, but it's so much more than we're used to normally hearing, or I'm used to normally hearing. It's very slow and pressed into that beginning from below and then inching up into the pitch. the way that this had an almost like a Middle Eastern kind of flair at one point. I think, again, we're playing with this choice of some really dissonant intervals. I'm going to go back a little bit. I'll point out where that was. Right here. Boom. It's like, I think that was a harmonic scale in there. It also has to do with the ornamentation. There's something about the way he sings that so distinctly reminds me of Jeff Buckley. It's almost eerie. And I know that the two were around at the same time. So part of me wonders, did someone listen to someone else, or how did that, was it just a product of the times? It's the way that he moves through the vowel. It's the control of vibrato, but it's also the tone quality. If you haven't seen the big analysis video I did of Jeff Buckley on the singing hole, I definitely recommend that. You'll get a bigger breakdown of some of this kind of stylization, and I'll put a card in the video right now if you want to go check that out. Oh man, so bendy. So much wailing power. To sustain that kind of power, you really need to be tapped into muscles that are below your diaphragm. You need to breathe low. Those muscles go all the way down to your pelvic floor, by the way. Like, that's extremely low, and that's what can help slow down or / control the air pressure so it doesn't just go smack into your vocal folds and cause damage over time. And then I'm listening to that distortion on top also, and I think he's very much in control of that in deciding how much he wants to add on top. It's more like distortion is a cherry on top kind of thing, not in the fundamental sound. And that's how we know that it's good and going to be healthy long term. It's just really, really good connection, though. Like, that's my big takeaway from hearing him here, is the connection and support system is fantastic. Oh, further. Oh my gosh, further. It's so sustained. I don't judge correctly when I'm going back how long it is. Wow. Oh man, this reminds me of this time when I was studying opera at Curtis, and a bunch of us gathered around a computer because we were studying a tenor's support system. And he was on his knees, and when he hooked into a really high note, we saw him lean back a little bit and sort of like lean into his pelvis. And it was just incredible the way his entire body then got underneath the sound and went, yeah, we're gonna support this sound. And I see the same thing happening here. I actually see it happening almost a little more than I think is necessary. Still, in the leaning back, I don't see any sort of break in his posture, so he's not arching a ton or putting his chin up a ton. And I think that's really good, because if you did that, it would kink the vocal tract, and that would not be conducive to a good sound. And same thing, if you were to arch his back a ton, it would kink that support system, so he wouldn't have as much control over his breath support. Instead, we're seeing a full body lean back that seems like it's actually trying to access more of that lower support. Wow. Wow. Oh man. The way that he's playing with starting a little under the pitch there as well is so good and just so emotionful. Wow. It's like a little slinky there. It reminds me a little bit of Robert Plant, actually, in that vocal slinky moment. Oh my gosh, the pitch bendiness of this is nuts. He started that one on the pitch, but then goes right under right away. That might be the end, but I just have to say we're gonna go back and play that again. He brings in that R colored vowel again instead of love, larve, larve. It's like larva, larve. It's crazy how much he's adding R colored vowels. There's the R approximation. Oh. Woo. Whoa! Oh my gosh. I love the way he turned around and it felt like they'd almost ended the song and then they reinitiated it. And it's just so fierce and it's really powerful. I'm going to go back again. Oh my gosh. I'm so amazed by how he sustained through this entire song. Choosing a slow tempo like this, I feel, is extremely gutsy. You have to be on top of your technique to do this. Okay. I'm gonna turn around. Wow. The way that's slightly under, like, fundamentally disturbs me. Whoa. That's wild how much he is edging under the pitch to create that painful kind of feeling, which I understand that relationship was pretty painful in a lot of different times. So I think that is very accurate expression. But mostly I feel blown away by Layne Staley's ability to sustain so much power through that song. Whoa. His singing chops are way better than I've previously heard. And I thought he was good before, but wow. This one, I think this is the best Layne Staley singing I've heard so far. Thank you to everyone who recommended this. If you want to see some more Alice in Chains analysis, you can check out this video over here. And may you fall more in love with music every day.